Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to Keep Her Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 23 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to Jefferson because we have a lot of news on the docket, but we also have a little bit of weather happening this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing widespread precipitation in our forecast area as we're starting off this Monday, but by this afternoon, we will see primarily dry weather conditions. So despite the very wet start to the morning, this afternoon is going to be mostly dry and mostly cloudy. Now, one thing that is worth noting about this Monday is even though we are going to be drying out this afternoon, temperatures are going to stay cool today and winds are going to be turning rather gusty. And then calm weather is going to return by Tuesday with plenty of sunshine. And we will see plenty of sunshine for the remainder of the work week. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Grant County. One man is dead after a crash last Thursday. State troopers say just before 2:30 p.m., 77-year-old Joseph Rammel exited I-90 at Road O, about 3 miles east of Moses Lake, though he didn't stop at a stop sign and was hit by a semi. Rammel died at the scene while the semi driver was not hurt. Troopers say Rammel was not wearing his seatbelt. Road O was closed for several hours, but eventually opened back up. Kennewick Police are continuing their search for a suspect accused of trying to speed through the city streets on a stolen dirt bike Saturday. They say shortly after 1 p.m., officers spotted a green and white Kawasaki dirt bike driving recklessly near North Steptoe and Gage Boulevard. When police tried to pull the rider over, the suspect took off. Investigators later learned the bike had been stolen overnight. Now, the suspect was last seen in Kennewick. If you recognize the rider or the dirt bike, you're asked to contact non-emergency dispatch. A man has been arrested after a two-car collision on I-90 last Thursday that left 6 people injured. The driver from Yakima was booked into Kittitas County Jail on counts of eluding police, vehicular assault, and reckless endangerment. There were 3 people in each car involved in the crash that was near exit 106 by Ellensburg. According to the State Patrol, the driver was heading west on the freeway to take the exit when he hit the other car traveling south on Highway 97 approaching the interchange. Now, the Yakima man failed to yield and struck that second car. A Yakima man was arrested for drug possession and possession of stolen property last week. According to preliminary court documents, officers stopped the man near the 500 block of East Yakima Avenue due to reports of a stolen bike. Now, that man was searched and multiple clear bags of fentanyl powder and meth, as well as Vicodin, were found in the man's backpack. A scale and a stack of cash were also discovered, and he was arrested and booked into the Yakima County Jail. Meanwhile, a man booked into jail last weekend following a domestic disturbance Saturday at the Copper Mountain Apartments. Richland Police say the suspect violated a court order by showing up at his parents' home. When officers arrived, they saw him holding a large kitchen knife. The father was pulled to safety and SWAT teams were called in after the suspect barricaded himself inside with his mother. Now, she got out unharmed as well, and the suspect later surrendered without incident. That man was booked into the jail on multiple felony domestic violence charges, including harassment and violating a protection order. A Cleveland woman is facing potential felony charges, drug charges, after she was found passed out in her car at a Shell gas station in Easton. The woman was arrested for possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver after police say a container filled with what was later admitted to be fentanyl was found in her vehicle. Also in that search, police found a small scale, cash, and more fentanyl powder. Switching gears this morning in Pasco, several homeowners are breathing a sigh of relief after a quick-moving fire erupted Saturday. It happened northeast of Highway 395 and Court Street and quickly spread between the highway and several duplexes. Firefighters rushed to the scene and were able to keep damage to a minimum, but before they arrived, several residents worked to keep things from getting worse.
We started to try and help any way that we could, but we realized quickly that the manager apparently took away the handles for the hoses, so you can't even open them. So people had to use clamps to try to get some water.
Now, ultimately, residents used anything they could get their hands on, including shovels, rakes, and buckets. We reached out to the property manager, but so far have yet to hear back. Meanwhile, a separate fire in Pasco that started Friday flared back up again Saturday. Firefighters say heavy matted vegetation in the area combined with strong winds led to the fire flaring back up. This time, however, they spent extra time at the scene to mop up and say they're going to continue to monitor the area to make sure any hotspots stay under wraps. Firefighters from around the Tri-Cities came together to host a free event focusing on fire safety. Now, it's part of National Fire Safety Week, and perhaps it's pretty timely with the fires that broke out over the weekend. Keeper's Aiden Whitaker was there and has the details.
On Saturday, the Kennewick Fire Department hosted their annual fire safety event at the Kennewick Fire Training Center with Benton County Fire District 1 as part of National Fire Prevention Week.
It's fun to see, like, what's the draw, right? I mean, certainly we've got Marshall out here, draws a lot of folks to see that. It's cool to see the people interested in cutting the cars. We've got fire engines, we've got police cars. It's nice to see people excited to see what we do and how we can serve the community.
This year, the message is all about lithium-ion batteries, which are found in everyday electronics, like your cell phone.
The focus is on buying batteries that are certified, like UL listed, that people are charging their batteries in a safe manner, and then when the battery is reached the end of its life cycle, disposing or recycling of it properly.
Firefighters also highlighted things like CPR, the importance of working smoke alarms in your home, and offered live demos of how they rescue people from crashed cars.
This is the kind of event I like as a firefighter, where we're not there when somebody's having the worst day of their life. We're here to help and pass the word to be safe. And the kids, I love the kids.
The Benton County Clean Air Agency was also there to give tips on what days are burn days, as well as the Kennewick Irrigation District, giving tips on water safety. Reporting in Kennewick, Aiden Whitaker, Action News.
Aiden Whitaker, thank you. Switching gears to some health news, the Grant County Health District has announced the detection of bird flu at a commercial poultry farm. They say the Washington State Department of Agriculture was first alerted about the case on October 7th, and additional testing confirmed the suspicions. In Grant County, it's the first ever case impacting domestic birds.
Season, we can kind of expect to see this each year, and avian influenza naturally occurs in wild aquatic birds. So if the birds are having contact with mammals, it can transfer that way.
Now, the Grant County Health District is working with the Department of Agriculture to ensure the cases don't spread. Other nearby poultry farms are being monitored as a result. Over to some state news. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson visited Wenatchee over the weekend to speak to local farmers about the current economic climate in the tree fruit industry. KIMA's Aiden Connor met with the governor to discuss the meeting and how he plans to work with local farmers.
Washington State Governor Bob Ferguson says that his meeting with farmers in the Wenatchee area on Saturday was a productive one.
Yeah, it was a productive meeting, right? So it was a roundtable conversation, really a chance for me to listen and my team to listen to folks in the tree fruit industry and the impacts on their work and the important products they provide to Washingtonians. So it was a good conversation.
The Climate Commitment Act, which requires farmers to reduce their usage of greenhouse gases, is something that Governor Ferguson believes will be helpful in the long run.
We've got budget challenges at the local level, the state level, and the federal level, but this fund, the Climate Commitment Act, actually is very robust and has resources to help out and fuel jobs all across our state.
Governor Ferguson believes that the export tariffs issued by the Trump administration are harmful to the farm industry.
In Washington State, as you know, we're one of the biggest exporters of goods of any state in the country. And so that's why, as governor, there's a lawsuit challenging President Trump's authority to unilaterally, without Congress, to unilaterally issue these tariffs.
Governor Ferguson says that the issue of tariffs goes beyond the farming industry as well. I asked him what changes he looks to make when it comes to budgeting and dealing with tariffs.
And every business person I talk to, whether in this industry or frankly any other industry, what I hear over and over is, I can't run a business with the sort of the chaos here, where the tariffs change from literally day to day or week to week. So that would be number one. Number two, the state does have its budget challenges. We're working with folks with the industry here to see, hey, what can we do in our budget that might be helpful for folks in the industry, and we'll be having more conversations as we move into my budget, which I'll be proposing in December.
Local Wenatchee farmers expressed their concerns with Governor Ferguson.
But what I'm hearing is, hey, there's pressures on them just like there is in every industry, as you can imagine, right? They're not immune from what's going on at the federal or the state level. And so my job is to hear those concerns, work with them, and see what we can do to be a partner going forward.
Voices were heard in Wenatchee on Saturday, and Governor Ferguson looks to collaborate with the local farmers moving forward. For Action News, I'm Aiden Connor.
KMA's Aiden Connor, thank you. And meanwhile, the Yakima Rotary Club launched its annual Operation Harvest last week, a large-scale food drive aimed at helping local food banks stock their shelves for the winter months. Residents were invited to fill the bags distributed by Yakima Rotary with non-perishable food items and place them on their front porch 8 a.m. By 8 a.m. over the weekend. Now on October 11th, volunteers collected the donations and delivered them to the Yakima Downtown Rotary Pavilion. All donations, including monetary ones, go directly to 9 local food banks providing vital support to families in need throughout the Yakima Valley. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan. Jefferson, a bit of a wet morning, a wet start to the work week. Are we going to linger around with these showers for a decent amount of time this week, or is it going to be kind of quick and gone?
Yeah, quick and gone for sure. We are seeing plenty of rainfall this morning. That is absolutely correct. And in fact, we are even seeing some pretty heavy snow in the mountains. At the time of this recording, just after 7 o'clock in the morning, we were seeing traction tires required over White Pass because of some heavy snow. And we were also seeing downright closures over Highway 97 at Blewett Pass because of multiple spinouts because of heavy snow. Hopefully by the time you watch this, those travel concerns will have been cleared. But again, for the time being this morning, pretty tricky travel through our Cascades because of heavy snow. Elsewhere for lower elevations, certainly not seeing snow, but plenty of rainfall is coming down. Let's take a look at our Storm Tracker Futurecast as we get towards your 11 a.m. hour. Still some lingering showers around, but you can see a majority of our viewing area by 11 a.m. will be out of the precipitation, and then by 3 p.m. this afternoon, everybody will be dry in our viewing area. We're still holding on to clouds today. It is going to be a cool and gusty day as well, but again, by about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, I do anticipate the precipitation to be pretty much over with. Now let's take a look at daytime high temperatures for today. It is going to be a cool day with highs only into the upper 50s to low 60s for the Tri-Cities. Look for mid to upper 50s in the Yakima Valley today, low to mid 50s in the Kittitas Valley this afternoon with low to mid 50s for the Blue Mountain foothills. And as I've already mentioned, holding on to clouds today with gusty winds with these cool temperatures. Speaking to those winds, it is going to turn pretty gusty today with gusts as high as 35 miles per hour this afternoon for the Tri-Cities, gusts up to 40 miles per hour in Yakima and Ellensburg, and then Walla Walla and Pendleton will escape with lighter winds for this Monday. I do want to draw attention to the wind direction coming out of the north and northeast today. That is a bit of an unusual wind direction, so don't be too surprised if multiple tree branches do get knocked down today. More tree branches than we would expect with this magnitude of wind, just because trees aren't used to getting blown from that direction. As we go into Tuesday, wind is going to be pretty light for everyone. Now, as we go into your overnight hours tonight, it is going to be a chilly night coming our way with temperatures down into the 20s and 30s across the inland northwest. This has prompted the issuance of freeze warnings. All areas in these purple colors are under freeze warnings from 11 p.m. tonight until 9 a.m. on Tuesday, as we could see those temperatures as low as 28 degrees in spots. Please make sure to protect any crops or sensitive vegetation. Now let's look at the more extended Storm Tracker Futurecast. I've already mentioned that the precipitation for today will be cleared out by about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We are going to hold on to relatively calm weather conditions through the week. Maybe on Friday, seeing some shower activity for the Blue Mountains. That's about it. Otherwise, we are going to see calm weather conditions and even sunshine throughout the week and the early stages of the weekend. But by Sunday, we are tracking the potential for our next weather maker that could bring widespread precipitation. Again, that's on Sunday. That's still a long way away. After today, do enjoy a pretty pleasant week of weather overall. Right now, I'm going to toss it back to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. Protesters took to the streets of Yakima last weekend, voicing their frustrations against the federal government. Demonstrators with the group Central Washington Resistance could be seen gathering on South 1st Street. The organization says the protest is aimed at taking a stand for constitutional government, the rights of undocumented immigrants, and the LGBTQ+ community. Their demand was for those in power at the federal level to be held to the rule of law. And in some more state news, earlier this year, Washington passed a law that requires Catholic clergy to report any suspected sexual abuse of children, youth, and vulnerable adults learned during the sacrament of confession. As of Friday, the state officially withdrew their legal plans to break the seal of confession. Reporter Ty Therian has more on the story.
The proposed law has been the subject of scrutiny for a multitude of reasons, the first being that the Catholic Church already requires priests to report abuse and neglect to law enforcement. I spoke with Father Robert Seiler, who spoke on the challenge of both protecting others while protecting the seal of confession.
So we're not really changing the way we go about protecting our children, youth, and vulnerable adults, but also protecting the sacred seal of confession. We're doing our best.
The church felt that the clergy were being singled out with this law. Despite the state purporting to protect minors, the law does not extend to other parties who may hear the same information, such as lawyers or therapists. The proposed law is threatening the clergy that they do not report any confessionals related to child abuse, that they could face up to 364 days in jail, a $5,000 fine, and possibly even more repercussions as well. The church has been lobbying against this legislation for the past few years and never wanted to file a lawsuit. However, the law was passed and they knew it was time to act.
Well, we have lobbied for the last 3 or 4 years since this legislation was first introduced. And for some time, the state Senate agreed with us, voted on amendments to the proposed law that would protect the church. But this past year, the law was passed as it is and was due to go into effect July 27th. And so that was the moment that we knew we had to.
Father Robert is grateful to the state of Washington for agreeing to the settlement with the church and wants to remain partners with the state to help protect the people of Washington. Reporting for KMA Action News, I'm Ty Therian.
KMA's Ty Therian, thank you. And a new $10 million homeless shelter in Walla Walla is now open. Now, you may have heard of the Christian Aid Center. They bought a new building to make more room for homeless men. This includes a bigger dining room, 4 private units for special cases, such as a father with his kids, a barbershop, and a gated courtyard. Now, the old building had only 2 showers for the 35 men. Leaders at Christian Aid say this 2-year project was possible thanks to the community members of Walla Walla.
We can now provide more dignity, and I think dignity, the piece that it impresses me the most is we want to bring value, and we want them to know that they're valued. And that has been a big key. And most of the guys that have come, they've come to help the last few pieces of the finishing touch.
Now, a member at Christian Aid spoke at the event saying he was in a bad place in life. And when he walked through the doors of the Christian Aid Center, he instantly felt like he was home. He says this new building gives hope for men on the streets.
The old Christian Aid Center at this location was the broken people on the outside, the homeless, that just wanted a place to stay and food to eat. And when you have to close the door or say, no, I'm sorry, we don't have room for you, whether it's the fire marshals, or they just didn't have a room, it's hard. And this place is a lot bigger.
Now, if you would like to learn more about the Christian Aid Center, you can head over to our website, KEPRtv.com. And the nonprofit Rod's House hosted their first ever Fan Fest Northwest last week in Yakima, raising money for the homeless. From superheroes to anime, the gathering's profits directly go back to Rod's House to continue helping those in Yakima. KIMA's Ty Therian has more on that story as well.
FanFest was held in the Yakima Convention Center, and it drew people of all ages to the event. FanFest has multiple vendors selling merchandise from all different fandoms, including anime, superheroes, and even Twilight. I spoke with Amber Green, the Director of Development and Communications for the Rod's House, and she went into further details about the nonprofit.
Rod's House is a nonprofit organization that serves young people between the ages of 13 to 24 that are experiencing homelessness or at imminent risk of homelessness in the Yakima County. So all of this money that we're raising goes right here to Yakima County.
An event similar to FanFest was needed in the Yakima Valley. One attendee, Joseph Mudd, explained to me that being around people who have similar interests to him gives himself a confidence boost.
I always have to remind myself, hey, there's a bunch of nerds in Yakima. It's such a small city, and you kind of see the environment and you think, there's not much of it. But when you culminate into such an area, your kind of people gives you such confidence boost. It's like, hey, there's people exactly like me in the same city that I'm at.
At FanFest, there was a panel of about 8 different celebrities who took the time to speak with fans, take pictures, and even sign autographs. My favorite part about FanFest was watching people from all different walks of life come together and be unapologetically themselves. They had the chance to meet like-minded people and even some people from other fandoms as well. After speaking with Michael Neal, another attendee for the event, I learned that this was some people's first ever cosplay event. By going to such small events, it gives them the experience that they need before attending bigger events in the future.
This is actually my first event to get a taste of what the bigger one to come I'm going to go to. But yeah, this is great. And then for some people, I can just get into character and just flap my cape, and it's great.
All of the proceeds made at today's event will be put directly into the Rod's House Foundation as they continue to help teenagers and young adults deal with homelessness. Reporting for Action News, I'm Ty Therian.
Tytherian, thank you once again. And their organizers say they're looking forward to next year's Fan Fest, where they hope to make it a multi-day event. Meanwhile, Lego enthusiasts across the region were treated to a special event in Pasco over the weekend as the highly popular Brick Convention made its debut. KEPR's Alan Lester stopped by the venue to check out the action as well as see how folks are embracing some childhood nostalgia.
From historical military tanks to medieval landscapes and even iconic scenes and sets from the Star Wars franchise, Saturday kicked off a big weekend of bricks, builds, and big imaginations at the Hapo Center. The traveling Lego fan event saw hundreds of collectors, families, and first-timers from all across the region for a celebration of creativity and nostalgia.
Every year, my fiance and I like to grow our Christmas village kind of around our tree by adding new buildings to it. So I'm hoping to find that new building here today to add to that.
And while many would think Legos are centered around the youth, that couldn't be farther from the truth.
As an adult, we often think, I can't buy those things. Those are for kids. But man, every time that Kimberlyn and I are in Walmart or Target, the first thing that we do is beeline to the Lego section.
To the thrill of some event goers, Brick Convention gives Lego lovers a chance to find some of the hardest to find sets from over the years to add to the collection.
I grew up with Legos and kind of never stopped collecting, even my family members too.
For Lego artist Allison Gale, events like this are about more than bricks. It's about expanding creative minds.
Back when I was little, girls didn't play with Lego. It was a boy's toy. But now it's for everybody, and it's the best thing. I get a bunch of kiddos to sit and build like their dream home or an alien or something, and I get to hear their little stories about each of their builds.
From first dates to first builds, the convention is creating new memories, one brick at a time.
We've always done like Lego dates, so this was a really exciting event to come to, and hopefully we can find a set for our next one.
Reporting from Pasco, I'm Alan Lester, Action News.
Alan Lester, thank you. A portion of the proceeds from each Brick Convention is donated to Creations for Charity, a nonprofit organization which buys new Lego sets for underprivileged children around the world during the holidays. And more than 24 vendors from around the area set up at the fairgrounds in Kennewick for the Tri-Cities Vintage Market, the second of 3 vintage markets planned for this year, which offers a variety of collectibles and rare items. It's also a good place to buy clothing, especially as the winter season approaches.
The fall vintage market is where the vendors start bringing out the fall wear, the winter wear, the heavier duty jackets and the long sleeve apparel, sweatshirts, hoodies. You're going to see things like that we don't normally sell in the summer.
Now, the market happened over the weekend, but if you missed it, the next one will be in December. If you've ever considered becoming a vendor, in-person registration is also available for that December event. Finally, one of the finally stories, the Richland Public Library will be closed today for annual staff training. City leaders say the time is designated to help their team plan for new ways to support the community. The library will open back up on Tuesday, October 14th. And absolutely finally, the latest episode of Yakima Wine Time will soon be live on the KIMA YouTube channel. And this week, it's all about the arts and their impact on our community. In the episode, we sit down with Karin Hannon from the Washington State Arts Commission to talk about the importance of funding for the arts and how creative spaces strengthen communities. Hannon reflected on how the pandemic took a toll on the arts, especially when local theaters, museums, and galleries were forced to close their doors, disrupting the sense of connection many rely on.
So, our local theatres and so on have had a hard time rebounding. Our museums, our galleries and so on. So it really is not smooth sailing. They've come back and, we are always a creative sector.
Now, again, you can watch Wine Time Yakima with Karin Hannon right after the newscast over on our KIMA YouTube channel. New episodes premiere every Saturday night at 7, and our previous episodes are available to stream anytime. And that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites. It's KIMA and KeeperTV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a terrific start to your work week, everybody.